So, Toy Story. This is a small film that not a lot of people know about. It came out in 1995, made by a very small studio called Pixar Animation. Now, that was a joke because everybody's seen Toy Story. And if you haven't, why? This film is about a child, Andy. He has a favorite toy, Woody. He's a cowboy doll. But life hasn't been going as great as it could be. His dad's not in the picture anymore. They have to move. They have to leave his neighborhood. They have to leave his friends. So for one birthday, he gets a new toy. He gets a Buzz Lightyear doll. It has lasers. It can fly. It has buttons that he talks. Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond. This is the world's coolest toy. But Woody, he's getting replaced. The bed sheets are not cowboys. The bed sheets are now space rangers. The walls are not clouds. They are now stars. And oh no, Woody is so mad, and he's so mad. And he directs us towards Buzz Lightyear. And all the guys that are like, Woody, you're the best. Woody, I love you. Woody, you are so good. They're now like, Buzz Lightyear, you're awesome. Buzz Lightyear. Andy likes him better. The toys like him better. Woody gets jealous. This established this great rivalry. And Woody's like, how do I put myself on top again? But Woody, being who he is, doesn't come off as a jerk. He just comes out a guy that's misunderstood. And they have early test screenings of this film. They got early story reels where Woody is a ventriloquist dummy. And he comes off as a jerk, and they're like, oh, we need to fix that. And I haven't seen Geostorm before they did the re-editing, before they did the reshoots. But Toy Story, because of that re-editing, because of those reshoots, they made a better movie. And the characters, Woody and Buzz, they go from being, I don't like you, to, oh no, the worst happens. They get separated from Andy, and he's moving. If they don't get back to Andy, they'll never see him again. And the job of a toy is to be played with. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Toy Story has the greatest script of all time. Written by director John Lasseter. He directed Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Bug's Life. Director Pete Docter. He directed Inside Out, Monsters, Inc., Up. Andrew Stanton directed WALL-E, directed Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, and John Carter. That wasn't very good, but the rest of his filmography was amazing. Written by Joe Ranft, who's another guy who's very well off at Pixar. He did voices like he was Heimlich in A Bug's Life. I'm going to be a beautiful butterfly. And he was Red in Cars, the fire engine. It was written by Joss Whedon, the genius behind films like Avengers. And he did Avengers Age of Ultron. He created shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And he's going to direct the new Justice League movie, which I wasn't really into before because I'm not really the biggest fan of the DCEU. I love the MCU, but Joss Whedon's doing Justice League. I'm there day one. And the other Joel Cohen, not the Coen Brothers guy, the guy that wrote Garfield, but he also helped write Toy Story. This film has a perfect script. There is heart in this. There is humor. There are chills. You have some scares, light scares, but they are there. Every character is complex and feels human, although they are toys. And this movie has one of the greatest casts of all time. Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Don Rickles, Jim Varney, Wallace Shawn, John Ratzenberger. And every character in this movie is fully developed. Every character is interesting. You can make... Star Wars is doing these spin-offs. You could do a spin-off of Ham, and you could do a spin-off of Rex. You could do a Mr. Potato Head spin-off, a Slinky Dog spin-off. Where were they before Andy? Or just, what do they do when Andy plays with them? How does Andy play with them? You could do a bajillion Toy Story spin-offs, and I would go to every one. Pixar had these limitations. It was early computer animations. Everything was going to look rubbery. Everything was going to look a little bit more cartoony than they wanted it to be. So what do? They embrace their limitations. If it's going to look rubbery, let's make a film about stuff that wouldn't detract from looking rubbery. Let's make a film about toys. And you have these two characters, in Woody and Buzz, which they have this great rivalry, but also this great friendship. And Tim Allen is so good in the role, but he wasn't even the first choice to be Buzz Lightyear. Pixar's first choice to be Buzz Lightyear was a guy called Billy Crystal, and he did not understand the script. He's like, I'm going to be a toy? I'm not going to be a human, I'm going to be a toy? So he passed. And boy, that was a mistake. Boy, he regretted it for the rest of his life. Until Pixar's like, hey, we got a great character, we wrote him just for you. He's a monster, he helps scare children, but he's not scary himself, and he's like the go-to guy, he's the motivator. This is Mike Wazowski. And you don't turn down Pixar twice in your life. Billy Crystal is a great Mike Wazowski, and I'm so glad he turned down Buzz Lightyear, because now we got two great characters instead of one. So, Woody is this guy, he's got a pull string. He's this guy that seems to be a family heirloom, versus Tim Allen is a guy that he's got lasers, and he's got a bunch of really cool next generation toy stuff. And you can see these two characters that they're amazing, and they're so different, but yet they're so similar. And the buddy comedy of this movie works genius. It's got a great script, it's got great actors, the whole cast. I can't see anybody playing anybody replacing the actors that are in this movie. Jim Varney was replaced in Toy Story 3 because he died, and Blake Clark took over, and it's not the same. It was great, but it wasn't the same. And unfortunately, Don Rickles passed earlier this year, so they're making a Toy Story 4, which I think is an absolutely horrible idea. Toy Story 1 is a perfect movie. Toy Story 2 is a perfect movie. Toy Story 3 is a perfect movie with the perfect ending to wrap up the perfect trilogy. They were doing Halloween specials, they were doing Christmas specials, and I'm okay with that. But Toy Story 4, and you ruin that ending by expanding it, I have faith in Pixar. And they say they will not make a sequel unless they have a great story. And they have a great track record, and I absolutely love 90% of Pixar movies. You have movies like Brave, which I enjoyed. I didn't love, and there was only one movie which I thought was absolutely terrible, and that was Cars 2. But Toy Story is an amazing movie. It is a perfect movie. I only have one negative thing to say about that. I love the computer animation, and I love animation in general, but there's just something about the traditional hand-drawn animation, even if you use the computers, just the two-dimensional thing. And because of Toy Story did so well, and because Pixar did so well, that kind of died out. It took 14 years to die out, and the last Disney animated traditional film was The Princess and the Frog. And although I'm a Disney fan and haven't seen that film, and that's probably why I let it die, I would love for sometime in the future we have another traditional hand-drawn, two-dimensional animated film.